All right, and welcome back to part 2 of session 3. So we're gonna play for another half an hour or so, try to get the next score set up, and then that'll be it for tonight, and then we'll have the actual score itself in the next session. So as you guys head back to Beer Court, what kind of plan do you want? Again, I think we're pretty clear on this being a transport plan.
Yes.
Let me get to those. So this would be. Gotta get to my reference. So I need a detail from you guys, and you might have some questions about Leviathan hunters. So let me just talk a little bit about those for a second. So Leviathan hunters are basically big, massive steamships that are essentially whalers, except Leviathans are these. They're not just whales, they're demons that are out in the sea, and they are massive and tentacled, and they're nasty.
They're Krakens.
They're Krakens, yeah, basically. And Leviathan hunters go out, they hunt and kill Leviathans, harvest their oil, which is then taken to Lockport, which is one of the cities on Akaros. And there it's processed, and the processed Leviathan oil is then transported to all the different cities where it is used to power various either mystical or electrical, the scientific stuff of the world all gets powered on Leviathan oil. It can also be refined and used as a drug, which has really, really terrifying side effects. So it's not something that you want to have. You don't really want to come into contact with it.
Like really bad hallucinogenic, or
like it starts to turn you into a demon.
Oh, lovely.
Like, yeah, like you get like scales and you like start to mutate and.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some of that.
And I'm sure there's a cult that takes this stuff on purpose.
Oh, most definitely there is. So there's these big steamships, and you can actually see, if you look on the map on here, these on the docks, the big ships, those are Leviathan hunters. So the things that kind of are the size of the whole dock, that's one Leviathan hunter. So there are these big, massive things, and they're actually, the Leviathan hunters are a faction. They're tier 4, so they are pretty intense. It's almost, it's like it's an honor basically to be appointed as captain. You have to actually be appointed as captain of a Leviathan hunter ship, and it is a high honor, and oftentimes it's nobility who are the captains of Leviathan hunters. So they're not necessarily someone you want to mess with lightly. However, they're also typically very wealthy, and so if you can get away with it, they're also a potentially good opportunity for a score.
Do we have to get these weapons onto a specific ship?
Yes.
Is there any chance that this ship has a captain or quartermaster who has a connection with a cult that uses this liquid, and we can somehow exploit that to create a diversion so that we can get the goods on board?
Maybe. So that would be You're going to want to make some sort of roll for that to determine that kind of information.
Would that be a survey roll?
It could be. So right now there is a downtime action that's called gather information. But I think in the next iteration of the rules, that's going away. So I don't know that I necessarily want to use that.
What's my hunt? You said that survey was like broad information and hunt was specific information, right?
Study is specific information. Hunt is like tracking and firing from a distance.
Okay.
Arranging an ambush, attack with precision shooting from a distance. Following a person, discovering their location. So yeah, I mean, if you want to like go deep on the captain of or quartermaster of the specific Leviathan hunter, then that would be a study to try and drum up information basically about them and maybe like their weaknesses and things that you could do to distract them, because remember, you want to get this past them. You know, they're not the ones who actually want the items.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be things that you'd want to do to avoid that.
Well, I don't have anything in study, but I can do survey.
Okay. Well, a survey would be more of like going down to the docks and kind of watching the crew as they move in and out, and so you're not watching a specific person so much as you're watching the broad scope of the Leviathan hunter as it works.
Could someone else do a more in-depth study? Does anyone else have study?
Nope. I am all.
I have one in study.
I think that's more than the rest of us have there. So
Yeah, so maybe I could do some surveying and you could do some more specific studying. Now, is there a way that I could assist him with my survey by going out and surveying first and then feeding him information about where to go specifically?
So you could do survey as a setup action, which would increase either his position or his effect. Or one of you could lead a group action, and basically you all go out trying to gather information, and you just use different methods. So like maybe you survey, Bree, maybe Hicks does the study, and then Cantor
I'll
does
go
something else. Yeah.
because I talk to people.
So somebody would
a lot
have
of friends.
somebody would have to lead that, but that would be a way for all of you to roll. Whoever leads it is going to actually take stress if the others roll low. But on the other hand, whoever rolls the highest, again, that's the roll that the whole group goes with. So you're more likely to get a good result, but there's also the potential for whoever's leading it to take stress.
Is there any way I could use Prowl as a way of finding out information? Because I have 2 in that. I'm just trying to play to my strengths here.
Right. You could definitely use Prowl. I think it's going to be... I think if you want to use Prowl, it's actually going to be a desperate roll, because you would have to actually like pre-sneak onto the Leviathan hunter, break into the captain's cabin, and rifle through his papers, and then sneak out in order to get this information.
Hey.
So it has a lot of potential for going wrong, but
Right.
but also more potential for better information.
Okay, next question. What happens when I hit 9 stress?
You take a trauma, and you are removed from the action. So you basically, once you get to 9 stress and you take that trauma, you're not going to be part of the score until once the score ends, then you come back with 0 stress, 1 trauma, and then you can go about your business.
Okay, so it's during downtime that I indulge the vice to reduce the stress.
Yes.
Okay.
Which again, you could spend a coin to take an additional downtime action, or spend a rep as well to take an additional downtime action to indulge your vice again. Because you had a couple crappy rolls, if I remember correctly, from last session. So you indulged your vice a couple times, and I think you rolled like a 1 and a 2 both times.
And a 1.
So.
Well, does someone else want to lead a command? I guess that I probably shouldn't if I have 5 stress. Although, Cantor, you have 5 stress too now, don't you?
I got 4. But 4. I think Hicks is pretty much stress-free.
Yeah, I got no stress.
Yeah, let's stress you out, because we're feeling a little stressed.
This doesn't really go against Hicks. He doesn't like to be stressed.
Well, if you don't like to be stressed, you shouldn't be a criminal in Doskvol.
Hey, you know what? Cantor's that smooth of a talker. So wait, what am I rolling then?
So then, you would be rolling. It sounds like everybody wants you to roll study.
Okay.
If you have a different idea as to how you'd like to gather information, you can.
The next best thing I would be doing would be prowling or attuning. Those would be beneficial on Hicks's end.
I mean, either could be. Again, with the prowl, if it's going to be a desperate action to try and sneak in. Attuning, you could do attune to try to tap into the ghost field and get a sense for the ghostly emanations around the Leviathan Hunter. It's up to you. It's what you want to do. Study would just be basically researching the captain or the quartermaster, whereas attuning would be more of casting out your ghost sense and trying to pick up on ghost energies around the Leviathan Hunter.
No, yeah, we'll go with study. That
okay.
Easier, I think.
So you're gonna roll.
Make more sense.
So you're gonna roll study. Bree is gonna roll survey, and Cantor is gonna roll consort.
Can I just click the dice right next to it?
You should be able to, yeah.
Okay. And then
it's just going to be controlled and standard.
For all of us?
Yep.
Anything extra? Does Hicks get anything extra since I'm pre-surveying?
No, because this is actually you're all doing it simultaneously.
Okay.
As you're all working together. All right, so it looks like 5 is the best, and Hicks, you take 1 stress from Bree's survey.
Sorry, I'll buy you a drink.
No, that's fine. Well, that'll help. That's part of my vice, anyways.
All right.
1 out of 9 ain't bad. 1 out of 9 ain't bad.
No, not really.
All right. So what information do you want to know? So you got a 5, which is a mixed result. So let me know what you want to know, what information you want to glean, and then I'll determine how much you actually get.
What did we want me to study? Is that what we're...
A way for us to get on the ship without looking suspicious. Or at least a way for us to deliver the supplies without looking suspicious.
And so I was studying the captain, right? That's what we were. So I guess studying his daily routine.
All right.
Right?
And if there's a chance to create a diversion with any cult, basically trying to see if the captain is a little, or the quartermaster could be
Yeah. So I mean,
bought with some side business.
daily routines, desires, wants, vices, yeah, that stuff.
All right.
You're good at figuring out other people's vices, right?
It should be. I'm a good drink buddy.
All right. So the captain's name is Morlin Penderin, and the ship's name is the Storm's Fist. So Hicks spends some time watching the captain, studying the captain, asking around, kind of like delving into. I mean, the Penderins are a noble family in Doskvol, and Morlin is the third son of old Lord Penderin. So he's not really part of the succession of the Penderin family, so turned to basically his father got him a position as a Leviathan hunter captain to make up for the fact that he wasn't going to get much in the inheritance. And Morlin is in his late 30s. He's a brisk man, Akarosi. So he's got kind of the hawk-like features, and he moves with very measured steps. Like it doesn't seem like there's any wasted energy in his actions. So he's very reserved and only moves when he needs to. So as you're kind of studying him, you do see that a hooded and cloaked figure visits the ship and is shown directly to the captain's quarters, or study, or whatever you might want to call it. And you don't recognize what this or who this figure is or what they might be. It's clear that they're not being snuck onto the ship. The rest of the crew is working around refitting the ship, preparing it to sail once again. And you can tell from watching that they very studiously ignore the figure as they walk across the ship. And Morlin meets the figure and guides them below deck. That's pretty much what you know from studying his movements aboard the ship. Cantor, when you're bumming around with people, talking to people, you hear stories about Morlin, that he is a very devout man, and in Doskvol, the primary religion is called the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh, which is basically, it's the idea that because in Duskwall, because of this cataclysm that occurred, death doesn't work like it should, and there is no afterlife. And so when you die, unless your body is destroyed by fire and ectoplasmic ritual, your ghost will eventually emerge within 3 days from your body and will be stuck, essentially, in that existence until you go insane, and then you're just going to be a vengeful ghost flying around. And so the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh basically is like, hey, there's no afterlife, this life is all there is, so we have to try and maintain the, not necessarily the pleasures of the flesh, but just being alive and being enfleshed is what life is about, and it's important to remember that as you're going through life. And so you hear rumors about Moreland being a very devout follower of the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh. But every, like, 4th or 5th person that you talk to, there's that little, like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, whisper of maybe he's a little too devout. He's a little too worshipful.
Excellent. Something's going on. Okay.
So you've got the carriage that's part of your crew.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can try to set up other ways to approach if you want to. It all depends on how you want to approach bringing these ships, the shipment to the ship. So, and Sarah gives you, basically when she's ready, she has about 5 boxes, crates, that are maybe
Stuff.
Yeah, I mean they're like 3 feet long, a foot wide, and a foot tall. And she's got 5 of them for you that have different. They've got guns, and they've got grenades, and they've got blades.
So I have an idea.
All right.
How much money do we have left?
2 coin.
2 coin. Okay. What was the religious organization that he was a little too devout with?
The Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh.
I don't have any weird connections there, do I?
No, because they're actually like the official state
They're the
religion.
official state religion.
Yeah. Whereas the Forgotten Gods are more of the cultish, weird stuff.
Would it be possible to, I'm thinking, creating the diversion of what's the protocol for, like, blessing a ship? Could we get a priest, one of the clergy, to come down and basically say, oh, I had this vision and we're going to come around and while they're off, fussing and hussing about the clergymen, we can sneak it on. Because the rest of the crew seems to be really good at ignoring things.
Yeah.
So we just need to get the captain occupied. And if he's as devout as our survey study says, then maybe that could be enough.
So it sounds to me like that's a. I,
A sway?
well, I'm thinking it's either a deception. I'm thinking about what kind of plan it is. So I'm thinking it's almost like a deception plan of either you hire someone to pretend to be the priest, or one of you pretends to be the priest,
Yeah.
and the others are your retinue, and you are bringing religious artifacts on board in order to bless the ship.
And they must not be touched because that would nullify their sacredness and their faculty for working.
Yeah.
Right.
Eh.
So I would definitely say it sounds like a deception plan to me, if that's the one you want to go with. And you can either spend a coin to
Hire the priest, or
Hi-
have one of us be the priest.
exactly.
And who volunteers to be the priest?
Is Hicks too drunk?
Well, this is like a day or two. in
We
the
can get him
future.
sobered up before it happens.
Some bilge water just right across the face.
Yeah.
So what would be some of
I
the
would-
key characteristics that we would look for to be able to do this? Because I don't
I would
see it.
assume sway or consort or whatever would be something you'd want to use for it, right?
I mean,
Which
I can
Hicks has-
schmooze, but I can't really do a whole lot of convincing.
Yeah, sway is going to be your basic like diplomacy and deception. So sway is going to be the one for actually like talking your way through.
Yeah, it's not me for that. Hicks, do you have anything in sway?
no.
Hicks has a tentacly beard. Let us not forget that Hicks has a tentacly
Yeah, that's-
beard that
Oh,
moves
right.
at random.
Yeah.
Swaying is probably not going to be his forte.
Probably could scare people away, but swaying, no.
Mm-hmm.
That probably wouldn't give you more pull in the church order, would it?
No, because that's sign of
That's the opposite.
that's the sign
Okay.
of being a demon or having
Oh, that's
demon
right.
blood. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. It's because basically he's Tikarosi, which is essentially all of them have demonic characteristics. So, yeah.
I have 0 in both consort and sway.
If we look at the smuggler sheet,
So here's an idea. What if this would be kind of like we set this up and we do another side job that helps us build up what we need to have like the cover story or whatever.
I see. So you want to do a score, like basically to break into the church to get like the stuff that you need, or do something along those lines to set it up so that you can then have the.
I'm sure they have some extra coins laying around they don't necessarily need.
Yeah, I mean you can definitely do like scores to set up
Other scores?
other scores. So if you would rather do a score to acquire a priest or something like that, that's totally fine with me.
It just seems like we really want this to go well, and
Yeah.
it is already kind of stacked against us to go so very poorly. Tentacle face over there. We need to somehow mask that. Emily Dickinson.
Well, we just put it in a burqa.
That's you guys, right?
Don't mind this while I just
Yeah, that's not gonna work. See, I think we're gonna need to go steal some outfits or something at least.
Let's go steal a priest.
Yeah, let's go steal a priest.
All right.
Bad
So-
people, aren't we?
So I think this is, since we're coming up on our time here, I think this is a good place to end. So the camera, I like to imagine. I like the idea more and more of imagining role-playing games sessions as like TV shows. And,
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm seeing this as the camera pans through, like, down through the slats of the various levels of the night market down into collectibles specialties, where you're all sitting around a table with like maps of the dock and the Leviathan hunter sitting out there, and you're like trying to plan out how you're going to get in, and you're just going around and around and around, and then finally you all just look at each other and you're like, yep, we're going to have to go steal a priest. Alright, do it. And that's where we'll pick up next week, or next time, I should say.
Next time.
Is planning out how and when and where and why and who. So let's do quick XP. I don't think there's going to be a lot of XP on this one.
No, I don't think so either.
But let's take a look and see what we've got. So Siege, I'll start with you. You didn't have any desperate actions.
Nope.
Did you address a challenge with threats or violence?
No, not really.
Okay. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
About the only thing I can think of is me perking up to when she, when Sarah was like, be good for some reputation. That's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that you should get one for doing the not spending the rep to take the extra action because you want to be known. Like, I definitely think that was very true to your drives of like, no, I'd rather spend the coin because I want to be known. I don't care if I have any money, but I want to be known. So I definitely take one for that. And then I would say take another one for dealing with Sarah. You didn't really struggle with issues from your vice or traumas. You don't have any traumas yet.
Nope.
Alright, Bree, I'm going to jump to you next, because that's the next one on the playbook list here. You also didn't have a desperate action. Did you address a challenge with tracking or violence? I don't really think you didn't roll hunt for that. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background? Let's see, I think you should get at least one because you started the pre-planning for, or at least
my
saw
military command background did come through a little bit for group organization and planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely take one for that. But also, I would say we saw a little bit more of Bree being a little bit more devious with your idea about like pawing through the coats and trying to prep for tracking people and keeping an eye on them, and I like that sounds like
tracking.
a drive of Bree to kind of like control information and like knowing where people are. So
don't forget the shiny buttons too.
And yeah, definitely the shiny buttons. So,
no, where am I adding this stuff?
So these can go either into your playbook or into your ability experience pools. So the beliefs, drives, heritage, and background, and then the struggling with issues from your vice or traumas, those can be applied to anything. The address a challenge with tracking or violence has to go into your playbook, and the desperate action, if you roll it, has to go into whatever action attribute you used.
Okay.
And then finally, Hicks. Didn't have any desperate actions. Did you address a challenge with knowledge or arcane power?
Nope. Haven't used any of my arcane power yet.
No. Although I will say that you did gain knowledge about the Leviathan Hunter captain. So I'm gonna give you an XP for that. And then, did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
He did drink a lot.
I was just gonna say he did drink a lot.
But that's about it. So.
Definitely, I would say take an experience for that, and then struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session. Don't really have any vice or traumas yet, so that'll come into play once you guys start overstressing yourselves and traumaing out. Then that's the kind of the tricky thing, because on the one hand, if you get trauma, it's like you get knocked out, but then on the other hand, you get to use that trauma to gain XP, so it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So would Bree get anything for the weird drinking she was doing earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say,
Because you didn't. I wasn't necessarily expressing a belief or background, but I was conveying a vice.
right, yeah. I think the issue is when it comes to the vice and trauma, because the key word there is struggling with issues from your vice or trauma.
Okay.
So I think it would be if you were like on a score and it was like, and you saw this weird drink and you're like, oh, well, I need to drink that because I have to know what it is, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just being like, oh, this is a weird drink that I'm drinking.
Okay.
So I think, and I would give it to you for beliefs, drives, and heritage, but 2 XP is the max that you can get for any one
thing
category. So yeah, so let's just leave it at that for now. But that's a good thing to remember for, like, if you're on a score and something weird comes up and you
have to lick it, have to touch it, have to poke it.
Exactly. If you cause trouble for yourself, then you're golden.
Okay.
Just remember, if it's wet, warm, and sticky and not yours,
don't touch it.
So for the smugglers,
or touch it, but you all stand back.
All right. So execute a successful smuggling or territory control operation. We haven't gotten there yet.
Nope.
Contend with challenges above your current station. You haven't gotten there yet, I would say. Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one.
Didn't really do much of anything there.
True, but you did bribe Esme out of custody with the blue coat. So I think that might actually, I think that might be worth an XP.
We added new crew.
Yeah, and that's where I'm not sure. I don't think that necessarily applies because you got it from spending.
We got it from our level up.
Yeah.
So
rather than like if you had, like forcibly cause somebody to join you, kind of thing.
Like this priest that we're going to kidnap.
Right. Was the. But I do think under express the goals, drives, inner conflict, and essential nature of the crew, I definitely think that you guys should get one for that, for pushing for a smuggling job and also developing your crew and kind of like taking steps to prepare for when the foghounds come back at you.
Because it's going to happen eventually.
That's right. Cool. Alright, so that's it for XP, and that is it for us. Thank you guys for playing, and thank you for watching, and have a great night.
Peace.